thank you for joining us. My name's Dr. Melanie Boursnell. I'm the Executive Director of Leadership and Learning from the HardyGroup. I'm joined today by Anna Leibel, who's the founder of 110% Consulting. Anna is an experienced non-executive director and senior executive in the financial services, management consulting, telecommunication and technology industries. Anna has more than 2 decades of experience in learning customer business and digital change. She's a sought-after advisor to boards and chief executives on transformation, data, cyber, leadership and culture. So welcome, Anna. Wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you, Melanie. It's great to be here.
Okay, Anna. So we're really interested in your thoughts around this year. It's been a really filled year of high-profile data breaches. The most recently was the Optus and Medibank data breaches. So really your thoughts on the risk and governance issues that this creates for us, and really a bit of projection. So what do you think we'll see as the trends in the forthcoming year, and especially in that cybersecurity ecosystem space?
Melanie, there's obviously lots of trends that we're expecting in 2023. My perspective is really around the focus on cyber of boards and executive teams in a way that we haven't experienced before. And I think it's a bit sad and regretful that we actually had to have 2 significant cyber events within our country, being Optus and Medibank, to really help us understand the consequences of a cyber event. So boards are now paying more attention to the risk itself and the consequences it can have. So if we think about reputational risk, the risk to our solvency as organisations, our relationship with regulators, and also really that customer trust piece. We already know that Optus has 2 class actions being investigated by law firms. There's mixed views between whether 10 to 50% of their customers have actually changed providers. And if we flip over to Medibank, in late October, their market value dropped $1.78 billion. And it's expecting that the breach will cost them in compensation about $700 million. So for me, it's really putting cyber risk on the agenda of every board and every CEO, where previously I think the focus had still been on the IT department. And that's huge, Anna. And I think in terms of thinking, what would your advice be to chief executives and to boards about what people should be doing to mitigate and reduce the risk of a cyber attack on their business? Well, I think the first thing, Melanie, is that you need to understand what needs to be protected. So even to meet our director duties and obligations, we actually need to understand the risk first. And I think often the lens that we apply to cyber risk is IT controls, whereas it's actually understanding the risk of the sensitive information that we hold and the risk of that being exposed. So what's the worst thing that could happen if that data was exposed? So that's really, the other piece is understanding who has access to that. So that's actually when you then start to understand cyber risk. And then the second piece that's really important is broadening that lens for your organisation and not asking all of the cyber questions to the Chief Information Officer who has accountability for IT, but understanding the other aspects of cyber and directing your questions to either the CEO or the other executives that might be responsible for procurement, M&A activity, and culture plays a big part in keeping the organisation safe as well.
So I think, Anna, what you're saying is, cybersecurity really is for everybody on a daily basis in their daily lives, because we all live on the internet and we're putting information out, whether it's searches, whether it's personal information, whether it's data or financial information. So what do you think are the broader implications around cyber attacks, especially in people's safety and well-being in terms of the community and personal well-being?
I think the Medibank breach in particular, because of the sensitivity of the patient information which has been exposed. Even myself as a consumer, and I'm not a Medibank customer, but it doesn't take much to put yourself in the shoes of Medibank customers, and even if your health insurer had a similar event. The impact of having that data exposed on the community, individuals' well-being, obviously is a big concern to me. And then from a trust perspective, I shared the data before around the impact to Optus and Medibank. In 2018, the Marriott had a cyber event and their share price dropped 5% when they announced the situation or the circumstances around that cyber event. And they also estimate that they've lost $1 billion in revenue. Mm-hmm. So we do look at it from an impact around wellbeing of the community. We also need to understand and try and quantify the impact to breaking trust or diminishing customer loyalty. Mm-hmm. It's quite significant.
No, that's very interesting, Anna. And I also understand and have read your book myself. Perhaps you'd just like to tell people a bit about the book and the advice and information you give in the book around the cybersecurity and how people can navigate that
Thanks,
for
Melanie.
themselves.
I'll just pop the cover up if that's okay. So
absolutely.
In March 2021, Claire Pales, my co-author, and I published The Secure Board. Claire has a deep cyber background. She's worked in security her whole life, physical security and then cyber security. And I've worked in IT for over 3 decades and also have been the executive accountable for cyber risk and work as a non-executive director. So we feel that we can bring the important 3 seats to the table around managing and governing this important risk. So I've written a book that's about 100 pages. It's a very easy read. There's 5 elements in the book to governing cybersecurity, and our intent is to actually build confidence amongst directors in how they can do that. So we work together to run board briefings and workshops for boards. And if you like some of the things that I'm sharing with you today, we also launch a podcast every week. If you go to your podcast provider and just search for The Secure Board, we talk about a lot of topics similar to what you and I are discussing today, Melanie, but we also have guests on the podcast. Recently, I interviewed a CEO and a chair of a board and talked about the relationship between the 2 roles and also the culture that needs to be created with an organisation to keep information safe.
Yeah. And that's a wonderful resource, the podcast, Anna. And if people are interested in getting hold of your book, how can they do that?
I'm happy if they want to send me an email. So we do bulk orders ourselves. So you can email hello@thesecureboard.com. Otherwise, it is available on Amazon and Booktopia. That would be great, Melanie.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Anna. Fabulous to talk to you. And as an avid listener of your podcast, I certainly will be recommending my fellow board directors to hop on there and keep up to date with the information that is emerging all of the time. Thank you so much for your time, Anna.
Thanks, Melanie.